A-D-N.
It's HeadphonesNeil!
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of HeadphonesNeil Reviews. I'm your host, as always, HeadphonesNeil, bringing a slightly mixed up variant of my usual set of reviews. So for this week, I actually have two trailers to review and talk about. I'm going to do a film franchise that I wanted to rewatch just to see the final film in the context of the other three. And then I'll have my usual update for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, or the gameplay for Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So to start it off, we finally got the teaser trailer for Stranger Things Season 5. The seasons or episodes are going to start streaming in November with the finale on Christmas Eve as of this recording. So I'll have a link in the show notes to the trailer. It's a pretty standard trailer as far as we see older versions of all the kids. They're going to be fighting Vecna at some point. Everyone's getting ready for the fight. So part of it is it's a teaser trailer. Part of it is I'm sure they don't want to reveal too much as far as what's going to happen in the season. So look out for that later this year. In a bit of surprising news, we actually got the trailer for Mortal Kombat 2. So this is the live action film as a sequel to Mortal Kombat 1 that came out a couple of years ago. We finally, or as they teased in the first film, that we're going to get Johnny Cage in this one. So more fighting, more brutality. We also get Baraka. So the Red Band trailer is out. It's a very brutal trailer, but we also got a funny trailer as far as a Johnny Cage film. So I'm curious to see how they tie it all together, but that is coming in October, so look out for that. But if you are a fan of the Mortal Kombat films, then it's going to be an interesting sequel. So I want to say that coming soon, I'll probably try to do a rewatch of the original film just to get prepared for the sequel. I thought it said it was going to be in theaters and streaming, but as I'm doing a little bit of rewatch, it looks like it is only in theaters as of the October 24th release date. So and it's only in theaters and IMAX on October 24th, so look out for that in October. As far as the recap of what I wanted to watch for or rewatch for this week, I wanted to give the Matrix Resurrections another chance, but I wanted to give it a rewatch in the scope of what if I watch the rest of the films first and watch it in continuity? I think I did that before when it came out, and it didn't hold up. It was too self-referential. They didn't really do anything. They had things that could have been mind-bending, but it was a presentation of the story. And that's kind of the same impact that we got again this time. So they acknowledged the time frame that they did. It was a jump forward, but they revealed the fact that that something is different right off the bat. So when we open in the first Matrix with Trinity fighting the cops, and we get the bullet time effect right off the bat, that's something new. They didn't reveal it, even though the trailer had the scene later on the rooftops with Neo and the agent and that bullet time, but we didn't know what we were going to get right off the bat. The second film introduced us to the whole thing, the concept of upgrades, and later on in the film, the duplicate of Agent Smith. And then the third film was the final battle and Neo saving the day, plugging back into the Matrix, the machine time or the machine view, and being connected to the machines, and then with that and all the stuff with the architect and all that. So for Matrix Resurrections, my problem is that the first problem was that they're still too referential. They're like, oh, this is not the story we know. And it's like, well, yeah, we know the story, so we don't need to be told that. With the whole thing with the modals, I thought was actually super interesting. I thought that was an interesting way of saying, okay, well, it's potentially a new machine language. There's a new version of the Matrix. They changed something. There's something going on with that could have been better explained. The whole idea with the thing on the train that they're now more mobile, that they don't have to run to payphones to get in and out of the Matrix, and all of that stuff was interesting. That little device to create people in the Matrix that couldn't get out, to create a virtual physical version of Morpheus, was interesting, which that wasn't too terrible, but it worked out as far as, well, the Matrix has the memory and imprint of Morpheus, Neo, everyone that got out, so there's that. And then the thing with the analyst was interesting enough. They explained it fine, but I don't know. For me, they could have spent a little bit more time with connecting that with the war with the machines, as far as the power demand, supply and demand, that it was all over the place with all the people leaving, and hooking Neo and Trinity back into the Matrix, and explaining all of that from the analyst point of view, or running the whole film from his point of view and then introducing Bugs and Niobe and everybody else as far as what's happening in I.O., and then connect the dots at the end to bring it all together, as far kind of like what we saw in the first Matrix, or even across all three films, that the analyst knew what the architect was doing. He had this grander scope. He understands people and all of that stuff. So, long story short, the film still doesn't hold up. So, it's in the scope of the Matrix, but they still didn't do a very good job of presenting the story. So, they kind of need for me, if they went back and said, okay, let's redo this and make the Matrix 5 like Matrix Resolutions or something, where they explain all that, or create a story where they introduce upgrades, have smartphones as a different interface, as a new version of the Matrix, and then go back to the origins of the first Matrix and keep the Merovingian and all of his stuff, and introduce all those characters that the Matrix just needed to reset, go to the source. They have a deal with the humans that they can go in and out. They have the actual choice of being in a Matrix or not, and they share the power and create a true truce or something along those lines. That would potentially be an interesting film to see. So with that being said, as far as the Star Wars Jedi Survivor gameplay goes, overall it is a pretty interesting story where we're rebuilding or reconnecting the team, as far as going to Kobo to go into these wastelands. The planets are very beautifully decorated with all the different plants and things like that, and the nature and the water effects and all of that. So I can see that they spent a lot of time with designing these levels in an interesting, new, and detailed way. So it's something that I don't remember from the first game, but then again, for the first game, they wanted to spend more time probably with the Empire and their consistency and all that. So now that we're on planets that have an Empire presence, and we're going back in time a little bit as far as these different structures and what stuff that Cal is looking for. Overall, these are very beautiful. Like I said, they're overall very beautiful levels and structures, and very well done. So I'm curious to see where the story takes us, if they're going to have another surprise cameo like Vader at the end of it. So I'm curious to see where the story goes from here. So with that being said, that's all there is for this particular week's review. Not too much going on. I mean, I did have a chance to rewatch Ford v Ferrari, because I kind of do want to watch F1, but I haven't had a chance to watch that yet. So in the meantime, I decided to watch rewatch Ford v Ferrari, and overall still a good film, still holds up. Enjoyed all the acting in it, all the connections and interactions and all of that stuff. So still a good movie, definitely still recommend it. But as far as this week's episode goes, that's all there is. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback, whatever, the website is HeadphonesNeil.reviews for links to the social media sites I'm on, past episodes, all that good stuff. The YouTube channel with gameplay videos, audio versions of the podcast, and all that stuff is at youtube.com/PatelN01. But that's all there is for this week's episode. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.